The night the mask fell. The Chateau Marmont stood like a fortress above the Sunset Strip, its rooftop terrace glowing under the amber hues of a Los Angeles sunset. Emily Carter adjusted the straps of her emerald green dress, her chestnut hair cascading over her shoulders as she surveyed the scene she'd spent weeks perfecting. It was June 15th, her 10th wedding anniversary with Michael, and every detail was a testament to their decade together. Lavender-scented candles flickered on white linen tables, a jazz trio played Ella Fitzgerald's sultry notes, and the city stretched out below like a glittering tapestry. She felt like a queen presiding over her kingdom, a sense of pride swelling in her chest as guests mingled, their laughter blending with the clink of champagne flutes. "Happy anniversary, sweetheart," Michael said, slipping an arm around her waist as he joined her at the edge of the terrace. His dark hair caught the light of the string bulbs overhead, and his smile was as disarming as it had been when they'd met as UCLA undergrads 12 years ago. At 35, he still carried the charm of a campus heartthrob, though faint lines of grey now threaded through his temples. "You've outdone yourself tonight." Emily leaned into his touch, the warmth of his presence grounding her. "I wanted it to be perfect," she said, her voice soft but steady. 10 years is worth celebrating, don't you think? "Absolutely," he agreed, pressing a kiss to her forehead. Couldn't have asked for a better partner. She smiled, turning her attention to their best friend, John Harper, who stood a few feet away, swirling a glass of bourbon in his hand. John had been a fixture in their lives since college, a lanky economics major with hazel eyes and a quick wit who'd bonded with Michael over late-night study sessions, and with Emily over shared tastes in jazz and dry humour. "Thank you for coming, John," she said, raising her glass to him. "Michael insisted you be here, and I'm glad you are." John grinned, his eyes glinting with mischief under the terrace lights. 10 years of you two lovebirds. It's practically a Hollywood miracle. I wouldn't miss it for the world." The trio laughed, a familiar ease settling between them as they raised their glasses in unison. "To 10 years of love and happiness," Emily toasted, her voice carrying over the hum of the party. "Thanks to you, my dear husband. Cheers." "Cheers," Michael and John echoed, their glasses meeting hers with a satisfying clink. The sound reverberated in her ears, a moment of harmony she'd cling to later when everything else shattered. The night unfolded like a dream. Guests danced under the stars, nibbling on shrimp cocktails and truffle fries, while the jazz trio transitioned into a smooth rendition of Summertime. Emily moved through the crowd, accepting compliments on the decor and exchanging small talk with Michael's colleagues from his Century City law firm and her old friends from the LA art scene. She felt a flutter of pride. 10 years of building a life together, a Brentwood home filled with memories, and a partnership that had weathered late nights, career shifts, and the occasional storm. This was their night, a celebration of everything they'd created. But as the evening wore on, a subtle unease began to creep in, a whisper she couldn't quite place. She excused herself to the ladies' room, needing a moment to touch up her lipstick and catch her breath. The chateau's mirrored hallway reflected her silhouette as she walked, the soft clack of her heels echoing off the marble. Then she saw it, a flicker of movement in the reflection, a shadow that didn't belong. She paused, heart skipping a beat, and turned just in time to catch Michael and John slipping toward the terrace edge, their heads bent close in a way that felt too intimate, too secretive. She blinked, chalking it up to the rosé she'd sipped all night. Imagination, she told herself, brushing it off as she continued to the restroom. Back at the party, the unease lingered like a stubborn fog. Michael approached her with a fresh glass of rosé, his grin as easy as ever. "Got you your favourite," he said, handing it to her. "Thought you might need a refill." "Thanks, honey," she replied, forcing a smile as she took the glass. Her eyes drifted to John, now leaning against the bar, chatting up a blonde in a sequined dress who laughed too loudly at his jokes. Something about the scene gnawed at her, a thread pulling loose from the fabric of the night. Then it happened. As she bent to adjust her heel, which had begun to pinch after hours of standing, a napkin slipped from Michael's jacket pocket, fluttering to the floor like a fallen leaf. She reached for it instinctively, her fingers brushing the crisp paper as she unfolded it. The words hit her like a punch to the gut. "Meet me at the pool house, 9 p.m. J." John's handwriting. She'd recognized that sloppy cursive anywhere, from years of birthday cards and scribbled notes passed during college lectures. "Michael," she said, her voice trembling as she held up the napkin, the ink stark against the white. "What's this?" His smile vanished, his face hardening as if a mask had slipped. "It's not what it looks like, Em," he said, his tone too quick, too defensive. "How long?" she demanded, her voice rising above the murmur of the crowd. Guests turned, sensing the shift, their curious eyes boring into her. The jazz trio faltered, a discordant note hanging in the air. John stepped forward, hands raised as if calming a startled animal. "Honey, listen," he began, his voice soft but strained. "Michael and I... It's been 6 months. Sparks flew and I'm so sorry. It wasn't supposed to happen like this." 6 months? The words clawed their way out of her throat, raw and broken. "On our anniversary?" "We didn't mean to hurt you," Michael said, reaching for her hand. She yanked it away, the glass of rosé trembling in her grip. "You disgust me," she spat, her voice cutting through the silence that had settled over the terrace. She turned on her heel, storming toward the exit as the crowd parted, whispers trailing her like a wake. The jazz resumed, but it sounded hollow now, a mockery of the night she'd planned. She didn't make it far. As she stumbled into the chateau's dimly lit lobby, her head spun, not from the wine, but from a sudden, overwhelming dizziness. Her vision blurred, her legs buckling beneath her. She clutched the wall, gasping for air, as Michael's voice murmured behind her, soft and insistent. "Let's get you some air, sweetheart." His hand brushed her arm, guiding her toward a side door. Then, blackness swallowed her whole. When she came to, she was sprawled on a velvet chaise in a private suite, her dress twisted around her thighs. The room was dim, lit only by a single lamp in the corner. Michael stood over her, his phone in hand, snapping photos with a cold, calculated precision. John adjusted a tripod nearby, the camera lens glinting like an accusatory eye. A stranger, a man in a cheap suit with a greasy smirk, lounged on the bed, his shirt unbuttoned to reveal a patch of chest hair. What's happening?" Emily slurred, her tongue heavy, her limbs sluggish as she struggled to sit up. Panic clawed at her chest, sharp and insistent. Michael grinned, a cruel twist of the lips she'd once loved. "You've been cheating on me, Em," he said, his voice dripping with mock pity. "Drugged and caught in the act with this guy. I've got proof now, pictures of you like this. You'll lose everything in court." "You drugged me," she gasped, the pieces snapping into place. The dizziness, the blackout, it wasn't the wine, it was them. "This is a setup." "So what?" he shrugged, pocketing his phone. "You've got nothing on me. I'll take the Brentwood house, the savings, everything. You're done." Fury burned through the fog in her mind, hot and fierce. She lunged for the table beside her, grabbing a champagne flute and hurling it at him with all the strength she could muster. The glass shattered against the wall, shards raining down as Michael flinched. "You'll pay for this," she vowed, her voice a low growl as she staggered to her feet. She bolted for the door, shoving past John, who stumbled back with a curse. The hallway spun, but she kept moving, driven by a rage that drowned out the haze. She burst into the night, the cool LA air slapping her face as she stumbled down Sunset Boulevard. Her heels clacked against the pavement, her breath ragged as she flagged a cab. "Santa Monica Inn," she told the driver, collapsing into the back seat. She wouldn't go home, not to Brentwood, not to the house they'd shared. That life was dead. The motel was a squat, faded building off Santa Monica Boulevard, its neon sign buzzing faintly in the dark. Emily checked in under a false name, Veronica James, paying cash to a bored clerk who barely glanced at her. Her room was small, the carpet stained and the bed sagging, but it was hers. She sank onto the mattress, staring at the peeling wallpaper as her mind raced. Michael thought he'd won. He thought he could frame her, humiliate her, strip her of everything they'd built. But he'd underestimated her. She wasn't the soft, trusting woman he'd married 10 years ago, the art student who'd fallen for his charm and promises. She was something else now, something forged in the fire of his betrayal. A phoenix, rising from the ashes of a life she'd thought was hers. She pulled out her phone, her hands trembling but resolute, and dialed Lisa Delgado, an old UCLA friend who'd traded her sociology degree for a private investigator's license in Pasadena. The line rang twice before Lisa picked up, her voice groggy but sharp. "Em, it's midnight. What's wrong?" "I need dirt on Michael and John," Emily said, her voice steel despite the tremor in her chest. "Everything. Financials, secrets, anything I can use. They've crossed me, Lisa, and I'm taking them down." There was a pause, then a low whistle. "Damn, girl, what did they do?" "6 months behind my back," Emily said, the words bitter on her tongue. "Drugged me tonight to fake an affair. They're trying to ruin me in court." "Bastards," Lisa muttered. "I'm on it. Give me 48 hours, I'll dig up every skeleton they've got." "Thanks," Emily said, hanging up. She set the phone down and stared at her reflection in the cracked motel mirror. Her makeup was smudged, her dress wrinkled, but her eyes burned with a fire she hadn't felt in years. This wasn't the end, it was the beginning. She opened her purse, pulling out a notepad and pen she'd grabbed from the front desk. She began to sketch a plan, her hand moving with purpose. Michael and John had a date tomorrow at the Ivy in West Hollywood. Carla, her hacker friend, had mentioned it once in passing about John's habits. It was public, flashy, the perfect stage for humiliation. But that would be just the opening salvo. She'd hit them where it hurt most: money, status, freedom. She'd dismantle their lives piece by piece until they had nothing left to stand on. Tomorrow, she'd start building her arsenal. Tonight, she'd let the rage simmer, fueling her for the war ahead. She lay back on the bed, staring at the ceiling as the neon light buzzed outside. "You'll pay," she whispered to the darkness, a promise to herself as much as to them. The City of Angels had broken her heart, but it would be their reckoning. Assembling the arsenal. The Santa Monica Inn's neon sign buzzed faintly outside Emily Carter's motel room window, casting a sickly green glow across the peeling wallpaper. She hadn't slept, not really. The events of the previous night at the Chateau Marmont replayed in her mind like a relentless film reel. The napkin with John's damning note, Michael's cold betrayal, the drugged haze of their setup. Her hands still trembled slightly as she sat at the rickety desk, but it wasn't fear anymore, it was purpose. She'd spent the early hours sketching a plan on a stolen motel notepad, and now, as dawn crept over Los Angeles, she was ready to build her army. Her phone buzzed with a text from Lisa Delgado, her Pasadena-based PI friend. "Got prelim dirt. Meet me at 10, Venice Beach, the Sidewalk Cafe. Bring coffee." Emily glanced at the clock, 7:45 a.m. She had time to prepare. She showered in the motel's lukewarm water, scrubbing away the remnants of last night's mascara and shame, then pulled on jeans and a black hoodie from her overnight bag. The emerald green dress lay crumpled in the corner, a relic of a life she'd already begun to shed. Before leaving, she stopped at a thrift store in Echo Park, a cramped shop called Second Chances, tucked between a taco stand and a laundromat. The air smelled of mothballs and faded dreams, but Emily moved with purpose. She needed a disguise, something to cloak her as she stepped into this new war. She found a platinum blonde wig, its curls slightly tangled but convincing, and a pair of knockoff Louboutin heels with scuffed soles. A black cocktail dress, simple but sharp, completed the haul. She paid $40 in cash, avoiding the clerk's curious stare, and returned to the motel to stash her finds. Veronica would emerge later, but for now, she was still Emily, raw, determined, and ready to strike. The drive to Venice Beach was a blur of palm trees and morning traffic along the Pacific Coast Highway. The Sidewalk Cafe sat at the edge of the boardwalk, its weathered wooden tables overlooking the crashing waves. Lisa was already there, perched on a stool with a laptop open, her dark hair pulled into a messy bun. She looked up as Emily approached, sliding a cup of black coffee across the table. "You look like hell," Lisa said, her tone blunt but warm. "What did those bastards do?" Emily sank into the chair, wrapping her hands around the coffee. 6 months behind my back, Michael and John. Then last night they drugged me, staged photos with some creep to frame me for cheating. They're planning to take everything in court. Lisa's jaw tightened. 6 sons of bitches. You're lucky you got out. Barely, Emily said, her voice low. But I'm not running. I'm fighting. What have you got? Lisa spun her laptop around, revealing a spreadsheet dense with numbers and dates. Michael's been skimming from his firm, Century City Law Partners. 2 years, $200,000 total. Small amounts buried in expense reports, client dinners, travel, fake consulting fees. John's in on it, laundering through a shell LLC in Nevada called Harper Holdings. I've got bank records, wire transfers, and a few emails where they slip up and mention the fund. Emily leaned in, her pulse quickening. Enough to nail them? With the right push, Lisa said. I'll need more internal firm docs, maybe a whistleblower. But this is a start. They're sloppy, cocky. Good, Emily said, her mind already racing. They've got a date tonight at the Ivy in West Hollywood, 7 p.m. I want to hit them there, publicly. Then we go deeper. Lisa grinned. Love the energy. I'll track them today, see what else I can dig up. You got anyone else on this? I'm building the team, Emily said. She pulled out her phone and dialed Carla Nguyen, a San Diego-based hacker she'd met years ago at an art gallery opening. Carla had a razor-sharp mind and a grudge against cheaters after her own ex drained her savings. The line rang once before Carla's voice crackled through, bright and biting. What's up? You never call this early. Michael's screwing me over, Emily said, skipping pleasantries. 6 months with John, drugged me last night to fake an affair. I need your skills. Hacking, digging, whatever it takes. Carla let out a low whistle. That prick? I'm in, 100%. What's the play? Start with their phones and emails, Emily said. They're at the Ivy tonight, West Hollywood, 7 p.m. I want real-time intel. Then find any hidden accounts, backdoors, dirt. Lisa's got financials. You take the digital side. Done, Carla said. I'll drive up today, crash at my cousin's in Long Beach. Send me what Lisa's got and I'll start cracking. Thanks, Carla, Emily said, hanging up. She turned to Lisa. That's 2. I need one more. Someone inside. Lisa tapped her pen against the table. Marcus Reed, bartender at the Chateau. You helped him out last year, right? Rent money? Emily nodded. He owes me. I'll call him. She dialed Marcus, the line ringing as seagulls screeched overhead. He picked up, his voice gravelly from a late shift. You okay? Last night was wild. Wild doesn't cover it, she said. Michael and John drugged me, staged a setup. I need your help. Intel from the Chateau staff. What have they been up to? Marcus sucked in a breath. Damn, yeah, I've heard whispers, pool house meetups, late nights. I'll ask around. Meet me at 2 Santa Monica Pier by the Ferris wheel. See you there, Emily said, hanging up. She looked at Lisa. Team's set. What's next? Lisa slid a burner phone across the table. Use this for us, no trace. I'll tail them today. John's condo in Newport Beach is my guess. You prep for tonight. Emily pocketed the burner, her resolve hardening. I'll be ready. The Santa Monica Pier hummed with life as Emily approached the Ferris wheel at 2 p.m. Tourists snapped photos, the air thick with the scent of fried dough and salt. Marcus leaned against a railing, his lanky frame clad in a faded Chateau Marmont polo, dark circles under his eyes from the night shift. He straightened when he saw her, offering a crooked smile. You look like you're on a mission, he said, handing her a coffee from a nearby stand. I am, Emily replied, taking the cup. What did you find? Marcus glanced around, lowering his voice. Staff's been talking. Michael and John, every Tuesday for 6 months. Pool house or suite 12. Kissing, groping, the works. They tipped big to keep it quiet. Ricky, the bellhop, pocketed 2 last month alone. Names? Emily pressed. Ricky's the loudmouth, Marcus said. Jenny, the maid, saw them too. Suite 12, sheets a mess. She's pissed they stiffed her on tips. Get me dates, times, Emily said. Anything concrete? Tonight's shift, Marcus promised. I'll text the burner. Thanks, Marcus, she said, slipping him $50. You're in deep now. Hope you're ready. For you, always, he said, winking as he walked off. Emily lingered by the pier, watching the waves crash against the pilings. Her team was forming, Lisa with the financials, Carla on the digital front, Marcus as her inside man. She drove back to the motel, the burner buzzing with a text from Carla. In LA, emails cracked, Michael's sloppy, meeting John plus Mary at the Ivy, digging deeper. At the motel, Emily spread her thrift store haul across the bed, the wig, the dress, the heels. She'd become Veronica tonight, a shadow slipping into the Ivy to strike the first blow, but she needed more ammo. She called Lisa again. Update, Emily said when Lisa picked up. Newport Beach, Lisa said. John's condo. Michael's there now. They're rattled, arguing about the photos. I've got pics of them through the window, plus a license plate on a black SUV, running it now. Perfect, Emily said. Send it all to David, my lawyer, downtown LA. Tell him to hold off filing till I say. Got it, Lisa said. You sure about tonight? Dead sure, Emily replied. It's just the start. By 5 p.m., Emily stood before the motel mirror, transforming into Veronica. The blonde wig framed her face in tight curls, the black dress hugged her curves, and the heels added a sharp edge. She applied red lipstick with precision, her hands steady now, and darkened her eyes with smoky shadow. The woman staring back wasn't Emily Carter, not the wife, not the victim. She was a weapon, forged in betrayal. Carla texted, "Phone's hacked. Michael's texting John, nervous about you disappearing. John's pushing to sell the condo fast. Found a Tahoe account, $50K, want it drained?" Hold off, Emily replied. I'll use it later. She drove to West Hollywood, parking a block from the Ivy. The restaurant glowed under neon lights, its patio packed with LA's elite. She slipped the burner into her clutch, alongside a tiny recorder Marcus had slipped her at the pier. A backup for the chaos she'd unleash. Her heart pounded, but it wasn't fear, it was anticipation. Inside the motel, she'd rehearsed her moves. Stumble, spill, reveal, record. Simple, but devastating. She'd humiliate them in front of Mary, whoever she was, and plant the first seed of their downfall. But as she stepped onto the sidewalk, a memory flashed. Michael's laugh at their wedding in Malibu, John toasting them with cheap champagne. 10 years reduced to this. She shoved it down, her heels clicking against the pavement as she approached the Ivy. The maitre d' eyed her, Veronica, not Emily, and she purred, "Reservation under Harper." He waved her in, oblivious to the storm she carried. The patio buzzed with chatter, the scent of truffle fries mingling with expensive perfume. She spotted them in a corner booth, Michael in a blazer, John laughing too loudly, and Mary, a brunette with a sultry smile, sipping a martini. Emily's pulse quickened, her plan locking into place. She moved closer, her recorder on, her steps deliberate. This wasn't just about tonight. It was about everything they'd taken, her trust, her home, her life. She'd build her case brick by brick until they had nowhere left to hide. Lisa's financials, Carla's hacks, Marcus's whispers. They were her arsenal, and the Ivy was her first battlefield. She took a deep breath, feigning a stumble as she reached their table. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry," she cried, tipping a glass of Pinot Noir into Michael's lap. He cursed, leaping up as the stain spread, and the game began. The first strike. The Ivy shimmered under the neon glow of West Hollywood, its patio a mosaic of starlets, power brokers, and the hum of self-important chatter. Emily Carter, or rather Veronica James, stood just outside the restaurant's entrance, her platinum blonde wig curling tightly around her face, the black cocktail dress clinging to her frame like a second skin. The knockoff Louboutin heels clicked against the pavement as she adjusted her clutch, feeling the weight of the tiny recorder tucked inside alongside the burner phone. It was 6:55 p.m. June 16th, less than 24 hours since her world had imploded at the Chateau Marmont, and tonight she'd fire the opening salvo in her war against Michael and John. The maitre d' barely glanced at her as she purred, "Reservation under Harper," her voice low and sultry, a stark contrast to the trembling Emily of last night. He waved her in with a practiced nod, oblivious to the storm she carried in her wake. The patio buzzed with life, waiters weaving through tables with trays of truffle fries and martinis, the air thick with perfume and ambition. Emily's eyes scanned the crowd, her pulse quickening as she spotted them in a corner booth. Michael, in a navy blazer, his dark hair slicked back, John, laughing too loudly in a grey suit, and a brunette, Mary, sipping a martini with a sultry smile that grated on Emily's nerves. She took a deep breath, her plan locking into place like the tumblers of a safe. She'd rehearsed it at the Santa Monica Inn: stumble, spill, reveal, record. Simple, but devastating. The recorder was already running, a silent witness to the chaos she'd unleash. This wasn't just about humiliation, it was about planting the first seed of their downfall, a crack in their armor she'd widen with every move. She stepped forward, her heels clicking deliberately as she approached their table, her heart pounding not with fear, but with a cold, fierce anticipation. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry," she exclaimed, feigning a stumble as she reached them. Her hand darted out, knocking the glass of Pinot Noir from the table's edge into Michael's lap. The wine splashed across his blazer and slacks, a deep red stain blooming as he leapt up with a curse. "Jesus, watch it!" John snapped, his laughter cutting off as he stood, brushing at his own sleeve where a few drops had landed. Emily locked eyes with Mary, her voice rising just enough to carry over the patio's din. "Mary, right? Did he tell you he's married? It's our anniversary today, 10 years, and he's already got John on the side." The words landed like a grenade, and Mary's face twisted, her martini glass freezing halfway to her lips. "Married?" she repeated, her voice sharp with disbelief. She turned to Michael, eyes narrowing. "You're cheating on her and me." Michael's face drained of colour, his hands fumbling to dab at the wine with a napkin. "Mary, wait, it's not—" "Don't!" Mary cut him off, slamming her glass down. She grabbed her purse, her sultry smile replaced by a scowl. "We're done, you jerk! See you in court!" She stormed off, her heels clicking a furious rhythm as she shoved through the crowd, leaving a trail of gasps and whispers in her wake. Emily turned back to Michael and John, pulling the burner phone from her clutch and flashing the screen, recording app active. "Caught every word," she said, her voice steady despite the adrenaline surging through her. "Your denials, John's excuses. Who's got the evidence of betrayal now?" Michael's eyes widened, a flicker of panic breaking through his composure. Wait, let's talk." "Save it," she said, stepping back as the patio's attention shifted fully to them. Guests craned their necks, phones emerging from pockets to capture the drama. She'd humiliated them in front of LA's elite, step one complete. But she didn't leave yet. She lingered near the bar, slipping into the shadows to watch the fallout unfold. Michael and John argued in hushed, frantic tones, their gestures wild. "You said she'd stay quiet," John hissed, jabbing a finger at Michael. "She was supposed to be out cold," Michael shot back, his voice cracking. "How the hell did she get here?" Emily texted Carla from the burner. "They're rattled. Hack their phones now. Full dump." Carla's reply was instant. "On it. Texts incoming. John's freaking out, blaming Michael." She smiled grimly, slipping the phone back into her clutch. Divide and conquer. Let them tear each other apart. She ordered a soda water from the bar, sipping it as she watched them storm out, Michael shoving past a waiter, John trailing with a scowl. The patio buzzed with gossip. "Did you hear that? Married and with him?" And Emily felt the first spark of satisfaction. It wasn't enough, not yet, but it was a start. She drove back to the Santa Monica Inn under a sky streaked with orange and purple, the adrenaline still buzzing in her veins. The motel room felt smaller now, the stained carpet and sagging bed a stark contrast to the glitz of the ivy, but it was her war room, and she was winning. She kicked off the heels, peeling off the wig as she sank onto the bed, replaying the night in her mind. Mary's exit had been a bonus, another player in their game, another fracture in their facade. Her burner buzzed with a call from Lisa. "Saw the pics online already," Lisa said, her voice laced with amusement. "Some influencer caught it. Mystery blonde bus cheaters at the Ivy. You're trending." "Good," Emily said. "Let it spread. What's their next move?" "They're at John's condo in Newport Beach," Lisa said. "Tailed them after they bolted. Arguing in the parking lot. Michael's SUV's got a dent now. Looks like he punched it. I've got photos, plus that license plate's tied to Harper Holdings. More ammo. Send it to David, Emily said. Tell him to prep the financial angle but hold off filing. Done, Lisa said. Carla's feeding me too, texts between them. John wants to sell the condo, cut losses. Michael's pushing to double down, thinks they can still frame you. They're delusional, Emily said, a bitter laugh escaping her. Keep tailing them. She hung up, pulling out her notepad to update her plan. The Ivy was a public hit, but it was just the appetizer. She needed to escalate, hit their wallets, their status, their freedom. Carla texted, phone dump complete. Michael's begging clients for cash. John's got a Tahoe account. $50K, want it drained? Not yet, Emily replied. Save it for the big swing. Marcus called next, his voice hushed. Shift's over. Ricky and Jenny spilled. Dates, times, receipts. Michael and John every Tuesday, pool house or suite 12. Jenny's got photos, blurry, but it's them. Sending now. Emily's phone pinged with the images, grainy shots of Michael and John tangled in shadows by the chateau's pool house, unmistakable even in low light. Gold, she muttered, forwarding them to Lisa and Carla. Thanks, Marcus. Stay low. The next morning, Emily met Lisa at a diner on Wilshire Boulevard, a greasy spoon called Mel's Drive-In, where the coffee was strong and the booths were private. Lisa slid a folder across the table, bank records, emails, photos from Newport Beach. They're cracking, she said. John's on the phone with a realtor, condos listed. Michael's at his firm, begging partners to back him. They're bleeding, Emily said, flipping through the folder. Good. David's got this? Yep, Lisa said. He's itching to freeze their accounts, but he's waiting on your word. Hold off, Emily said. I want them desperate first. Carla joined them, her laptop open as she sipped a Coke. Emails are a mess, she said, spinning the screen. Michael's telling John to clean the Tahoe stash. Idiot used his work email. John's replying from a burner app. Thinks he's slick. I've got it all. Emily leaned in, reading the thread. Michael, we need that $50K now. Clean it before she finds it. John, too hot. Sell the condo first. Buy us time. Michael, she's bluffing. Photos won't hold up. They're underestimating me, Emily said, her voice cold. Big mistake. Want me to leak this? Carla asked, fingers hovering over the keyboard. Not yet, Emily said. Save it for the firm. I want his partners to turn on him. Lisa grinned. You're playing chess while they're flipping checkers. Damn right, Emily said, sipping her coffee. Next move, hit their egos harder. Marcus said they golf at Riviera in Pacific Palisades Saturdays. I'll crash it. By Friday, the fallout from the Ivy had spread. Gossip blogs ran wild. Anniversary scandal rocks LA elite. And Michael's firm issued a vague PR statement. We're investigating internal matters. John's real estate listings tanked, clients pulling out after whispers of his personal drama. Emily watched it unfold from the motel, her burner buzzing with updates. She met Marcus again at the Santa Monica Pier, this time at dusk. He handed her a USB drive. More from Jenny. Security logs, keycard swipes. They're sloppy as hell. Thanks, Emily said, slipping him another $50. You're my eyes in there. Always, he said, vanishing into the crowd. Carla texted, Tahoe account still live. Michael's moving $10K to a new LLC, Vegas drop. Want me to block it? Yes, Emily replied. Donate it. Shelters again. By midnight, $10,000 was gone, funneled to LA women's shelters under an anonymous tag. Emily smiled, imagining Michael's panic when he checked the balance. She called Lisa. They're fraying. What's Newport say? John's packing, Lisa said. Caught him loading boxes. Condo's a fire sale. Michael's holed up at the firm, screaming at someone on the phone. Perfect, Emily said. Riviera's tomorrow. I'll bury them there. Saturday dawned bright and sharp, the Pacific Palisades air crisp with salt and promise. Emily drove to the Riviera Country Club, her blonde wig back on, a borrowed caddy uniform from Marcus's friend hugging her frame. She'd spent the night prepping with Carla, uploading the chateau photos, Ivy recording, and hacked emails to a Google Drive link. She'd blast it to every club member during their golf game, turning their sanctuary into a crucible. She slipped into the clubhouse bar, the USB drive burning a hole in her pocket. Michael and John arrived at 10 a.m., their faces tight, their swings off. Emily watched from the bar, sipping a soda as they teed off. Then she struck, texting the link to every contact Marcus had swiped from the club's directory. Gasps erupted across the green. "Embezzler!" a member shouted. "Cheater!" another jeered. Michael's club slipped, the ball slicing into the rough. John dropped his face red as the crowd turned. "Get out!" someone yelled, and they fled, booed off the course. Emily toasted their ruin with her soda, the first real smile in days curving her lips. The ivy had cracked them. Riviera widened the fissure. They were bleeding, publicly, financially, emotionally, but she wasn't done. She texted her team. "Phase 1 down, prep for the kill shot." Back at the motel, she sank onto the bed, the caddy uniform crumpled beside her. The burner buzzed. Lisa. "They're at John's screaming. Caught it on mic. John's out. Wants to run." Carla. "Tahoe's dry. 40K left. Next?" Emily stared at the ceiling, the neon hum outside her window a steady pulse. She'd hit them hard, but the war was far from over. She'd take their money, their freedom, their lives, piece by piece, until they begged for mercy she'd never give. The financial siege. The Santa Monica Inn's dim room felt like a bunker as Emily Carter sat cross-legged on the sagging bed, her laptop glowing with the latest updates from her team. It was Sunday, June 17th, just 2 days since the Chateau Marmont betrayal, and already she'd drawn first blood at the Ivy and deepened the wound at the Riviera Country Club. Michael and John were reeling, publicly humiliated, their reputations in tatters. But Emily wasn't satisfied. She wanted them broken, stripped of every dollar and dream they'd built on her back. Tonight, she'd launch the financial siege, a calculated strike to drain their resources and leave them scrambling in the dirt. Her burner phone buzzed with a text from Carla Nguyen, her San Diego hacker ally. "Tahoe accounts down to 40K. Michael's freaking out. Found another LLC in Vegas. 20K. Orders?" Emily's lips curled into a grim smile as she typed back, "Drain it all. Shelters again. Send proof." She leaned back against the headboard, the neon hum outside her window a steady pulse as she reviewed her notepad. The Ivy had fractured their alliance with Mary and sparked a social media firestorm. Riviera had turned their elite circle against them. Now she'd hit their wallets. Michael's skimmed funds from Century City law partners, John's laundered cash through Harper Holdings, and every secret stash they thought she'd never find. Her team was her weapon. Lisa Delgado with the financial trails, Carla with the digital keys, Marcus Reed with the inside whispers. Together, they'd dismantle the empire Michael and John had so arrogantly assumed was untouchable. The burner buzzed again, Lisa this time. "Newport Beach update. John's condo sales falling through, buyer spooked by the scandal. Michael's at his firm, begging partners. Audio's juicy. Want it?" Emily replied, "Yes, send to David too. Prep the freeze." She stood, pacing the small room as her plan solidified. David, her lawyer in downtown LA, had Lisa's initial financials, $200,000 skimmed over 2 years, funneled through Nevada. With Carla's hacks and Marcus's chateau logs, the evidence was airtight. But she wouldn't file yet, not until they were desperate, clawing at shadows. She wanted them to feel the noose tighten first. Carla called, her voice crackling with excitement. "Vegas LLC's dry, 20K to LA shelters, tagged anonymous. Tahoe's next, 40K's moving now. Michael's phone's a mess. Texts to John. Where's the cash? John's replying, check Tahoe, you idiot. They're imploding. Perfect, Emily said, her voice cold. Keep monitoring. Anything from the firm? Michael's emailing partners, panic mode, Carla said, begging for a loan, promising to fix it. I've got copies. Want me to leak? Hold off, Emily said. I'll use it at Century City myself. Stay on their phones. She hung up, grabbing her thrift store haul, the blonde wig, black dress, heels. She'd need Veronica again soon, but first she met Lisa at Mel's Drive-In on Wilshire Boulevard. The diner's retro booths were quiet, the air thick with coffee and grease. Lisa slid a USB drive across the table, her dark eyes glinting. Newport audio, she said. John's screaming. You said the photos wouldn't leak. Michael's yelling back. She's a ghost, man. I don't know how. Plus, firm pics. Michael in his office, sweating bullets. Emily plugged the drive into her laptop, slipping in earbuds. John's voice crackled through. We're screwed, Mike. Condo's dead. Realtor says no one's touching it after Riviera. Michael's reply was frantic. I'll get the partners to cover us. Just keep the Tahoe stash safe. The desperation was palpable, a sweet note in Emily's ears. David's got this, she asked, pulling out the earbuds. Yep, Lisa said. He's drafting the freeze motion, IRS and DA too. One word and their accounts lock. Not yet, Emily said, sipping her coffee. Let them bleed more. By Monday, the financial cracks widened. Carla texted, Tahoe's gone, $40K to shelters. Michael's checked the balance, called John, screaming. I've got the call log. Emily grinned, forwarding it to Lisa and David. She drove to Century City, parking a block from Michael's firm, a sleek glass tower that loomed over Avenue of the Stars. She wore a grey hoodie and sunglasses, blending into the lunchtime crowd as she watched. Michael emerged at noon, his blazer wrinkled, his face haggard. He climbed into his Porsche, oblivious to the tow truck idling nearby. Lisa had tipped off the IRS. $200,000 in unreported income triggered a seizure. Emily sipped a coffee from a street vendor as the truck hooked the car, Michael's shouts echoing as it rolled away. That's mine! You can't take it! He yelled, but the driver shrugged, unmoved. She texted Lisa. Porsche gone, firm next? Lisa replied, partners are meeting, Michael's pitching a bailout. I've got a mic in the lobby. Emily waited, the burner buzzing with Carla's update. John's Newport bank account's frozen, overdraft fees piling up. He's selling stocks, crashing fast. The condo sale collapsed by afternoon. Lisa's photos of John's meltdown hit real estate forums, buyers fleeing. Emily watched it unfold online, her satisfaction growing with every panicked post. She met David at his office on Figueroa Street, a cramped space cluttered with legal files. He spread Lisa's docs across the desk, bank records, emails, chateau logs. This is a slam dunk, he said, adjusting his glasses. Embezzlement, laundering, Michael's firm's suing him for damages once we file. John's an accessory, license gone, assets seized. Hold the filing, Emily said. I want them to feel it first. Then we crush them. David nodded. Your call. IRS is ready. Say the word. Soon, she said, leaving with a copy of the docs. She drove to Long Beach, meeting Carla at her cousin's cramped apartment near the harbour. Carla's laptop glowed with hacked data, Michael's firm emails, John's brokerage accounts, a new LLC in Phoenix. Phoenix? Emily asked, leaning over the screen. $15K, Carla said. John's last ditch, set it up yesterday. Want it gone? Yes, Emily said. Shelters again, make it hurt. Carla's fingers flew, and by nightfall Phoenix was dry, $15K funneled to LA shelters. Michael's text to John exploded. Where's the damn money? John's reply, I don't know, check Tahoe again. Emily laughed, the sound sharp in the quiet room. Tuesday brought chaos. Lisa tailed Michael to Century City, where he begged partners in a glass-walled boardroom. Emily slipped into the lobby as Veronica, her wig and heels back, posing as a client. She planted a USB, Carla's hacked emails, on the receptionist's desk with a note. For the partners, urgent. By noon, the firm erupted. Partners confronted Michael, Lisa's mic catching it all. You stole from us, Mike. $200K, explain. Michael's stammered denials fell flat as the USB circulated, emails proving his skim, John's laundering. He was fired on the spot, escorted out by security as Emily watched from a cafe across the street, sipping an espresso. John's brokerage in Newport Beach crumbled simultaneously. Carla leaked his Vegas escort photos to HR, license revoked by 3 p.m. Client sued, stocks tanked, and his condo hit foreclosure. Emily drove to Newport, parking near his building as movers hauled boxes under Lisa's watchful eye. John's face was ashen, his grey suit rumpled as he shouted into his phone, Fix it, Mike! We're dead! She texted her team. Financials gutted. Next, status. Carla replied, Found 5K in a personal account. Michael's. Drain. Emily. Yes, shelters. Wednesday, Emily struck again. Michael's firm sued him for $1 million in damages, Lisa's audio sealing the case. The IRS froze John's remaining accounts. Overdrafts spiraled. Carla drained Michael's 5K, leaving him with cents. Emily met David at Mel's drive-in, the folder now thick with evidence. They're broke, David said. Firms pressing charges, DAs circling. Freeze now? Not yet, Emily said. Riviera was social. Let's make it personal next. She drove to Brentwood, parking a block from their house, her house now. Michael's car was gone, but John's SUV sat in the driveway. She slipped into the backyard, planting a mic Lisa had rigged, a gift for their next move. The burner buzzed. Marcus. Chateau's buzzing. Michael's banned after the scandal. John's next. Emily smiled, slipping away. She'd gutted their finances. Porsche seized, accounts drained, lawsuits piling. They were cornered rats gnawing at each other. She returned to the motel, the neon hum of victory chant as she updated her notepad. The Ivy had humiliated them, Riviera had ostracized them, and now their money was ash. Next, she'd take their pride, personal, raw, and relentless. She called Lisa. They're at Brentwood. Mike's live. What's up? Fighting, Lisa said. John's out. Wants to run to Vegas. Michael's begging for a loan. It's ugly. Good, Emily said. Prep for tomorrow. Shutters on the beach. They're meeting someone. She hung up, staring at the wig on the dresser. Veronica was her blade, and she'd cut deeper still. Michael and John thought they could frame her, break her. They'd learn, too late, that she'd bury them instead. The Crucible of Pride. The Santa Monica Inn's neon sign buzzed faintly outside Emily Carter's motel room window, casting jagged shadows across the stained carpet. It was Thursday, June the 20th, 5 days since the Chateau Marmont betrayal had set her world ablaze. And Emily had already struck hard. First with the public humiliation at the Ivy, then the financial gutting that left Michael and John penniless. Their Porsche was seized, their secret accounts drained to shelters, their condo sale dead, and Michael's firm suing him for millions. But Emily wasn't done. She'd taken their money. Now she'd take their pride, their status, the last threads of the lives they'd flaunted in her face. Today, she'd turn the Riviera Country Club, their sacred playground, into a crucible of their ruin. Her burner phone buzzed with a text from Carl and Gwen. Michael's begging a golf buddy for $10K. Pathetic. John's selling his watch online. Riviera's still on. 10 a.m. tea time. Emily's lips twitched into a cold smile as she replied, Prep the leak. Everything we've got. Send it when I say. She stood, stretching her stiff limbs after a night hunched over her laptop. The financial siege had been surgical. $200,000 skimmed from Michael's firm, laundered through John's Nevada LLC, plus the Tahoe, the Vegas and Phoenix stashes, all gone. Lisa's audio, Carla's hacks, and Marcus's Chateau logs had built an arsenal no lawyer could dismantle. But pride was personal, and Riviera was where Michael and John preened among LA's elite. Lawyers, CEOs, old money. She'd stripped them bare in front of their peers, a public execution of their egos. Emily pulled on the caddy uniform Marcus had borrowed from a friend at the club, white polo, khaki shorts, a cap to hide her wigless hair. She'd go as herself today, no Veronica mask, blending in until the moment struck. Her notepad lay open on the bed, the plan scrawled in sharp lines. Infiltrate Riviera, leak the evidence, watch them burn. She'd already sent Carla the final list, Chateau photos, Ivy recording, hacked emails, financial docs, to upload to a Google Drive link. Marcus had swiped the club's member directory. Every phone would ping with their shame. She drove to Pacific Palisades under a sky sharp with morning light, the Pacific Ocean glinting to her left along the coast highway. Riviera Country Club sprawled across rolling hills, its manicured greens and Spanish-style clubhouse a monument to privilege. Emily parked near the service entrance, slipping in with a group of caddies hauling bags. The air smelled of cut grass and cigar smoke, the chatter of wealth drifting from the patio. She kept her head down, her cap shadowing her face, until she reached the bar, a sleek space with leather stools and a view of the first tee. Michael and John arrived at 10 a.m., their faces drawn, their golf bags slung over tense shoulders. Michael's blazer was gone, replaced by a wrinkled polo. John's grey suit swapped for a faded sweater. They moved like men on borrowed time, nodding curtly to familiar faces, partners from Century City, a tech mogul from Silicon Beach, a retired judge with a booming laugh. Emily watched from the bar, sipping a soda as they teed off, their swings off, their laughter forced. Her burner buzzed. Lisa. Mike's live at Brentwood, caught them last night. John's out, wants Vegas. Michael's begging for a loan. Audio's gold. Emily replied, send to Carla, add it to the leak. She waited until they reached the third hole, the crowd thick with members sipping Bloody Marys and trading gossip. Then she struck. She pulled the burner from her pocket, texting Carla, now. Seconds later, phones pinged across the green, a chorus of chimes as the Google Drive link hit every member's inbox. Emily leaned against the bar, her soda cold in her hand, as the storm broke. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Embezzler! A grey-haired lawyer shouted, waving his phone. Cheater! A woman in pearls jeered, her voice cutting through the breeze. Michael's club slipped, the ball slicing into the rough as he spun, face paling. John dropped his hands trembling as he fumbled for his phone. What the hell? Michael muttered, scrolling frantically. The chateau photos flashed, him and John tangled in shadows, unmistakable. The Ivy recording blared from a speaker, Emily's voice. Did he tell you he's married? Mary's exit. See you in court, jerk. Emails scrolled, Michael to John. Clean the Tahoe stash. Lisa's Brentwood audio. We're screwed, Mike. Get out, the judge bellowed, his face red. You're done here. The crowd turned, boos and shouts erupting as Michael and John stumbled back, their bags abandoned. Thieves, a CEO yelled. Disgrace, a woman hissed. They fled, heads down, the green a gauntlet of scorn. Emily toasted their ruin with her soda, a quiet smile curving her lips. She slipped out through the service entrance, the caddy uniform a perfect cloak as she drove back to Santa Monica. The burner buzzed. Marcus. Clubs banning them. Lifetime. Word spreading. Back at the motel, Emily shed the uniform, sinking onto the bed as the adrenaline ebbed. Riviera had been a masterstroke. Their social castle crumbled, their peers turned executioners. She checked her laptop. Gossip blogs exploded. LA lawyers banned after club scandal. Twitter buzzed. Riviera reckoning. Cheaters caught. She'd stripped their status, left them pariahs in the city they'd ruled, Lisa called, her voice sharp. Brentwood Mike's still hot. John's packing, Vegas flight tomorrow. Michael's at a bar in Santa Monica, drowning in whiskey. Good, Emily said. Tell John, don't let him run. Carla texted, firms suing Michael, 1/9. John's brokerage clients filing too, 500K, they're toast. Emily replied, next. Personal, Brentwood tomorrow. She met David at his Figueroa Street office that afternoon, the folder now a tome of evidence. Riviera's the tipping point, he said, flipping through. Firms pressing charges, embezzlement, fraud. DAs circling John, laundering, tax evasion, freeze now? Not yet, Emily said. One more strike. Shutters tomorrow. They're meeting someone. David nodded. Your call? IRS is locked. Say when. She left, driving to Long Beach to sync with Carla. The harbour air was thick with salt as they sat in her cousin's apartment, Carla's laptop glowing with fresh hacks. Michael's bar tab's 200. Card declined, Carla said, grinning. John's flight's booked. Vegas 6 p.m. tomorrow. Cancel it, Emily said. Use his ID. Make it look like him. Carla's fingers flew, and the flight vanished from John's account. Done, she said. What's Shutters? Investor, Emily said, recalling Lisa's tip. They're desperate, begging for a lifeline. Friday dawned grey, the Pacific shrouded in fog as Emily prepped for Brentwood. She drove to the house, her house slipping into the backyard where the mic still hummed. Michael and John were inside, their voices crackling through her earbuds. We need cash, John. Shutters at 3. I'm out, Mike. Vegas is it. She smiled, texting Lisa. Brentwood Live, record it. She planted a second mic, Carla's spare, under the patio table, then retreated to Santa Monica. Marcus met her at the pier, handing over a Chateau keycard log. "Last nail," he said. "Michael's banned, but John's still slipping tips, desperate." "Thanks," Emily said, slipping him $50. "Stay low." By noon, Lisa texted, "John's at LAX, flight's gone. He's raging. Caught it on cam." Emily watched the video, John slamming his phone in the terminal, red-faced and wild. She forwarded it to Carla, leaked to blogs, realtor meltdown. At 2 p.m., she drove to Shutters on the Beach, a chic hotel in Santa Monica, where Michael and John would beg their investor. She slipped into a waitress uniform, Marcus's hookup, her wig back, Veronica reborn. The patio buzzed with tourists, the ocean a dull roar as she spotted them in a corner, Michael dishevelled, John twitching, a burly Vegas man in a loud shirt across from them. She slipped a mic under their table, her tray a shield as she hovered nearby. Michael's voice rasped, "We need $50K, new start. Firm's suing, but we'll pay back." John chimed in, "Vegas, clean slate." The investor grunted, "You're toxic, no deal." Emily sent the audio to David. "Shutters Live, DA now?" David replied, "Filing, warrants out." She lingered by the bar, watching as police swarmed the patio at 3:30 p.m. Michael and John froze, cuffs snapping on as the Vegas man bolted. "Fraud!" an officer barked. "Embezzlement!" Guests gasped, phones flashing, another viral moment. Back at the motel, Emily shed the uniform, the burner buzzing with victory. Lisa, "John's booked, Vegas dream dead." Carla, "Blogs have LAX vid, #realtor rage trending." David, "DA's charging, firm's adding extortion, freeze tomorrow." "Yes," Emily replied, "lock it all." She sank onto the bed, the neon hum a triumphant pulse. Riviera had stripped their pride, Shutters their hope. They were caged rats now, clawing at bars she'd forged. She updated her notepad, social ruin complete, legal trap sprung. Next, she'd make it personal. Brentwood, their last sanctuary, would fall. She called Lisa. "Shutters was gold. Brentwood tomorrow, full assault." "On it," Lisa said. "They're breaking. John's blaming Michael. It's chaos." Emily hung up, staring at the wig. Veronica had burned their status to ash. Tomorrow, she'd bury their souls. The legal noose. The Santa Monica Inn's cramped room felt like a command center as Emily Carter sat at the rickety desk, her laptop screen casting a blue glow across her face. It was Friday night, June the 21st, 6 days since the Chateau Marmont betrayal had ignited her war, and the battlefield was strewn with the wreckage of Michael and John's lives. The Ivy had humiliated them, the financial siege had gutted their wealth, and Riviera had stripped their pride. Yesterday's chaos at Shutters on the Beach, police cuffs snapping on as their Vegas investor fled, had been the prelude to today's killing blow. Now Emily would tighten the legal noose, locking them in a cage of their own making with the full force of her team behind her. Her burner phone buzzed with a text from David, her lawyer. "Warrants active. DA's charging fraud, embezzlement, extortion. IRS freeze hits at 8 a.m. You're clear. House is yours." Emily's lips curved into a tight smile as she replied, "Good. Push the firm's suit. 1 memo damages, no mercy." She leaned back, the neon hum outside her window a steady heartbeat as she reviewed her notepad. The plan had unfolded like a symphony, each strike building to this crescendo. Lisa's financial trails, Carla's digital breaches, Marcus's insider leaks, and now David's legal hammer would seal their fate. But it wasn't enough to see them arrested. She wanted them crushed, personally, publicly, permanently. Today she'd orchestrate their final fall, starting with Brentwood and ending with a courtroom she'd never let them escape. Carla called, her voice sharp with adrenaline. "Shutters audio's viral. LA lawyers cuffed at lunch. John's LAX meltdowns at 500K views. I've got their phones live. Michael's begging a bail bondsman. John's calling a Vegas lawyer. They're toast." "Keep the feed open," Emily said. "Anything from Brentwood?" "Lisa's mic's hot," Carla said. "They're there now. John's packing, Michael's drunk. Want it streamed?" "Yes," Emily said. Send to David, add it to the DA's pile. She stood, pulling on jeans and a hoodie. No Veronica today, just Emily, raw and relentless. She drove to Brentwood, the familiar streets twisting her gut as she parked a block from her house. The mics she'd planted, one under the patio table, one in the backyard, hummed through her earbuds as she approached, crouching in the shadows of the oleander bushes. Michael's slurred voice crackled. "We'll fight it, John. Shutters was a fluke." John's reply was shrill. "Fight with what? We're broke. You screwed us." Emily texted Lisa. "Brentwood Live. Record everything." Lisa replied, "On it. Cops en route. DA's tip." She lingered, the night air cool against her skin as she listened. John's panic spiked. "Vegas lawyer's out. Says we're too hot. I'm done, Mike." Michael's laugh was bitter. "She's a ghost, man. How's she doing this?" Emily's smile widened. Let them wonder. By 7 a.m. Saturday, the IRS freeze hit. David texted, "Accounts locked. Michael's at Zorulus. John's in the red. Firm's suit filed. One Malamers. DA's adding tax evasion." Emily drove to Shutters on the beach, the scene of yesterday's arrest, to meet Lisa. The hotel's patio was quiet now, the ocean a dull roar as they sat at a corner table, Lisa's laptop open with live feeds. "Brentwood's a gold mine," Lisa said, sliding earbuds to Emily. "Caught this at 3 a.m. Michael smashing bottles, John crying about Vegas, DA's eating it up." Emily listened. Michael's rant, "She's got nothing real, photos won't hold." John's sob, "We're done, condo's gone, license gone." She forwarded it to David. "More for the pile." Carla joined them, her laptop glowing with hacked data. Michael's bondsman bailed. Too risky. John's Vegas guy ghosted. "I've got firm emails. Partners want blood, pushing felony charges." "Good," Emily said. "Let's amplify. Brentwood next." She drove back to Brentwood, parking near the house as police lights flashed in the dawn. Lisa's tip had worked. Cops swarmed, cuffing Michael and John again as neighbors gawked. Emily slipped closer, her hoodie shadowing her face, and planted a third mic, Carla's spare, near the garage. The audio streamed, Michael's growl, "She set us up!" John's plea, "Tell them it's her, Mike." She texted Marcus. "Chateau update?" He replied, "John's banned, staff's leaking to blogs, total pariah." By noon, Emily met David at his Figueroa Street office, the legal net tightening. He spread the evidence across his desk, Chateau logs, Ivy audio, financial docs, Shutters arrest, Brentwood rants. "DA's charging heavy," he said. "Fraud, embezzlement, laundering, extortion, 10 years minimum if convicted. Firms one Malama suits a civil bonus. Partners want his head." "Push it," Emily said. "No plea deals, full trial." David nodded. "IRS seized everything. Condos foreclosed, Michael's car gone. You're clean. Brentwood's yours." She left, driving to Long Beach to sync with Carla. The harbour air was thick as they sat in her cousin's apartment, Carla's laptop streaming Michael's phone. "He's calling old clients," Carla said, "all hanging up. You're poison, Mike." "John?" Emily asked. "LAX again, trying standby," Carla said. "Cancelled it, third time this week." Emily grinned. "Keep him grounded." Lisa texted, "Cops took Brentwood mics, evidence now. DA's thrilled, airtight case." Sunday, Emily struck personally. She drove to Brentwood with Jenna, Michael's ex-assistant from Century City, fired last year for whistleblowing his skims. Jenna's eyes burned with her own grudge as they met at a cafe on San Vicente Boulevard. "He ruined me," Jenna said, clutching a coffee. "I'm in, whatever it takes." "Plant this," Emily said, handing her a USB, Carla's forged emails framing Michael for pinning the skim on partners. "Firm's mailroom today." Jenna slipped into Century City that afternoon, her old badge still active. She dropped the USB with a note. "From a friend, check Michael's lies." By evening, partners erupted. Lisa's lobby mic caught it. "He blamed us. Sue him for 2 mem." The suit doubled. Michael's name mud. Emily watched from Mel's drive-in, sipping coffee as Carla texted. "John's brokerage sued. $750K. Clients want blood." She drove to Newport Beach, parking near John's condo as foreclosure signs went up. Lisa's cam caught him, wild-eyed, loading a suitcase into a beat-up rental car. Emily texted Carla, "Drain his last card, $200. It was gone in minutes, shelters again. Monday, the legal hammer fell. David filed with the DA, full charges, no leniency. Police raided Brentwood, seizing laptops Lisa's mics had tracked. Emily met her team at Venice Beach, the sidewalk cafe, quiet as they synced. Lisa's folder thickened. Brentwood audio, Shutter's arrest, firm suits. Carla's hacks added layers, phone logs, forged emails. Marcus slipped in, handing over Chateau staff affidavits. "They're done, nobody's touching them." "DA's pushing trial, 6 weeks, David said via speakerphone. "No bail, flight risk. They're locked up." Emily nodded, the ocean crashing beyond. "Good, one last push. Personal ruin." She drove to Brentwood Tuesday, entering her house for the first time since the betrayal. The air stank of whiskey and despair, broken bottles, scattered papers. She found Michael's golf trophy, Riviera 2019, and smashed it against the fireplace, shards glittering as she burned their anniversary photo. The ashes curled, a final goodbye. Lisa texted, "Jail call. Michael blames John. John's silent, broken." Carla, "Blogs running Brentwood pics, fall of the cheaters." Wednesday, Emily met David downtown, the courthouse looming. "Trial's set," he said. "DA's got everything. Shutters, Riviera, Brentwood. They're facing 15 years. Firm suits a cherry on top." "Push the shelters," Emily said. "Every cent they lost. Public record." By night, news hit. LA lawyers face decades, $75K, donated from seized funds. Emily watched from the motel, the neon hum of Victory Anthem. Shutters had caged them, her team had forged the bars. They were legally dead, money gone, status ash, freedom lost. She updated her note-it pad, legal trap sprung, personal strike next. She texted Lisa, "Brentwood's mine, tomorrow we end it." The noose was tight, she'd pull it tighter still. The reckoning and the rise, the Santa Monica Inn's neon sign flickered outside Emily Carter's window, its buzz a fading echo as she packed her meager belongings into a duffel bag. It was Wednesday, July 31st. 6 weeks since the Chateau Marmont betrayal had set her on this path of vengeance, and today marked the endgame. The Ivy had humiliated Michael and John, the financial siege had stripped their wealth, Riviera had crushed their pride, and Shutters had caged them legally. Yesterday, she'd reclaimed Brentwood, her house, smashing their remnants and burning their past to ash. Now, the courtroom awaited, the final stage where she'd watch them fall and rise anew from the wreckage. Her burner phone buzzed with a text from David's, her lawyer. "Trial starts 9 a.m., downtown LA courthouse. DA's pushing max sentences. You're set, Brentwood's yours, clean title." Emily replied, "Good, no plea deals, full reckoning." She pulled on a simple black blazer and slacks, her chestnut hair loose. No wig, no Veronica today. She was Emily Carter, unbroken and unbowed, ready to face the men who'd tried to destroy her. The past 6 weeks had been a war. Lisa's financial trails, Carla's digital strikes, Marcus's insider leaks, Jenna's planted fakes, and David's legal hammer had forged an unbreakable case. They'd taken everything from Michael and John, money, status, freedom, and today she'd seal their fate. She drove to Brentwood first, stepping into the house she'd reclaimed. The air still carried the faint tang of whiskey and despair, but it was hers now, hers alone. She'd swept away the broken bottles, the scattered papers, leaving only the essentials. The fireplace held the ashes of their anniversary photo, a grey smear against the hearth. She grabbed a small box, her art supplies untouched for years, and locked the door behind her. Brentwood wasn't home anymore, not yet, but it was a fortress she'd won. The downtown LA courthouse loomed on Hill Street, its concrete facade stark against the morning sky. Emily parked near the steps, joining Lisa, Carla, Marcus and Jenna at a coffee cart nearby. They'd become her army, her family, bound by this fight. "Ready?" Lisa asked, handing her a black coffee. "More than ever," Emily said, her voice steady. "You?" Wouldn't miss it, Lisa said, grinning. Caught John's jail call last night. He's begging Michael to confess. Michael's silent, cracked. Carla smirked, her laptop bag slung over her shoulder. Blogs are live. Lay lawyers face judgment day. #reckonings trending. Marcus nodded, his chateau polo swapped for a button-down. Staff's toasting you. Michael and John are ghosts there. Jenna's eyes burned. Firm's watching. Partners want his head on a pike. Emily sipped her coffee, the bitter warmth grounding her. Let's end it. The courtroom was packed, reporters, ex-clients, Riviera members, all craning for a view. Emily sat in the gallery, her team beside her, as Michael and John were led in, orange jumpsuits stark against their pale faces. Michael's jaw was tight, his eyes hollow, John's shoulders slumped, his fight gone. The judge, a stern woman with silver hair, banged her gavel at 9:05 a.m. The DA opened fraud, embezzlement, laundering, extortion, tax evasion. David's evidence unrolled like a tidal wave. Lisa's $200,000 skim records, Carla's hacked emails, Marcus's chateau logs, Shutter's audio, Brentwood rants. The forged emails Jenna planted sealed it. Michael framing partners, John complicit. Witnesses piled on, firm partners demanding $2 million, brokerage clients suing for $750,000, chateau staff testifying to bribes. Michael's lawyer stammered, misunderstanding, personal disputes. John's pleaded, he's a victim, coerced. The judge's glare silenced them. Emily watched, her pulse steady, as the DA played her Ivy recording, her voice cutting through. Did he tell you he's married? Mary's exit. See you in court, jerk. Gasps rippled. Michael flinched. John sank lower. The defense crumbled. No bailouts, no pleas. David had blocked every escape. At 3 p.m., the judge delivered Michael Carter, 15 years, 2 M restitution. John Harper, 12 years, $750K restitution. No parole eligibility, 5 years. The gavel fell, a thunderclap ending their empire. Emily exhaled, the weight lifting as Michael and John were cuffed again, their eyes darting. Michael's to her, a flicker of rage. John's to the floor, broken. She met Michael's gaze, unflinching, then turned away. They were ghosts now, hers to forget. Outside, the press swarmed. Ms. Carter, your reaction? A reporter shouted. Emily paused, Lisa at her side. Justice, she said simply, walking past. Blogs erupted. Ella Cheetah's sentenced 15 years. And shelters praised anonymous donations. $75,000 from seized funds, Emily's silent gift. She met her team at Venice Beach that night, the sidewalk cafe quiet under a sunset sky. They toasted with beers, the ocean crashing beyond. You did it, Lisa said, raising her bottle. We did it, Emily corrected, clinking hers. Couldn't without you. Carla grinned. Worth every hack, those bastards are done. Marcus laughed. Chateau's throwing a party. Good riddance night. Jenna nodded. Firms blacklisting them, industry poison. Emily sipped her beer, the salt air cool against her skin. What's next? Lisa asked. Sell Brentwood, Emily said. Start over, maybe San Diego, art again. They nodded, a quiet pact sealed. The war was over, the rise began. Thursday, Emily listed Brentwood with a realtor, the sale fast, $2.5 million, clean cash. She packed her art supplies, a few clothes, and drove south on the Pacific Coast Highway, the ocean stretching endless to her left. San Diego glimmered by dusk, its skyline softer than LA's jagged edge. She rented a loft near Balboa Park, the space bare but hers, canvas, paint, a new start. She painted that night, bold strokes, dark reds and golds, a phoenix rising from ash. The betrayal, the war, the victory. They fueled her brush, a story no one could take. Her phone buzzed. Lisa. Firm's payout hit, 1 mem to you. Shelter's got another $50K. Emily smiled, texting back, keep it rolling. New life here. Friday, she walked Balboa Park, the air thick with eucalyptus and possibility. She joined an art class, strangers who didn't know her scars, only her talent. A gallery owner noticed her work, raw, fierce, and offered a show. She said yes, her voice steady. Weeks bled into months. Brentwood sold, the money split, half to shelters, half to her future. The trial faded from headlines, Michael and John forgotten in their cells. Emily's first show opened in December, Ashes to Wings, sold out, critics raving, a voice reborn. She stood at the gallery window, San Diego's lights twinkling beyond, a beer in hand. Lisa visited, Carla called, Marcus texted, Jenna emailed, her army, her anchors. She'd burned their world to reclaim hers, and the ashes had birthed something stronger. 1 year later, June 15th, Emily sat on her loft's balcony, the Pacific a dark expanse below. No anniversary party, no betrayal, just her, a canvas and silence. She painted, a woman rising, flames at her feet, wings unfurling. The past was ash, the future was hers. She texted her team, 1 year, free, drinks on me next week. Replies flooded, hell yes, proud of you, to the Phoenix. Emily leaned back, the night air cool against her skin. The city of angels had broken her, but she'd burned it back, fiercer, brighter, alive. Michael and John were shadows, their cages her victory. She raised her beer to the stars, a quiet toast to the woman she'd become. Shadows of triumph. The San Diego loft near Balboa Park was a sanctuary of light and silence as Emily Carter stood before her easel, a paintbrush poised over a half-finished canvas. It was June 15th, 2026, 2 years to the day since the Chateau Marmont betrayal had shattered her old life and set her on a path of vengeance and rebirth. The past year had been a quiet triumph. Brentwood sold, Michael and John locked away for 15 and 12 years respectively, their empire reduced to ash by her hand. Her first gallery show, Ashes to Wings, had sold out last December, and her new life as an artist in San Diego had taken root, steady, fierce hers. But tonight, as the Pacific shimmered beyond her balcony, a faint unease stirred, a shadow she couldn't quite name. Her phone buzzed on the kitchen counter, a text from Lisa Delgado. Drinks tonight, 2-year mark, celebration overdue, gas lamp quarter, 8 p.m. Emily smiled, typing back, wouldn't miss it, bring the crew. She set the brush down, the canvas, a woman emerging from a storm, wings jagged but bold, left unfinished. The loft was sparse but warm, exposed brick walls, a few thrift store finds, and shelves lined with paints and sketches. No trace of Brentwood remained, no photos, no trophies, just her art and the freedom she'd clawed back. She showered, pulling on a black sundress and sandals, her chestnut hair loose and untamed. The woman in the mirror was no longer the betrayed wife or the vengeful Veronica, just Emily, whole and unapologetic. The gas lamp quarter glowed under San Diego's evening sky, its Victorian facade strung with lights, as Emily parked near Fifth Avenue. The crew waited at the Shout House, a lively piano bar where dueling keys filled the air with raucous energy. Lisa waved from a corner booth, her dark hair pulled into a sleek ponytail. Carla Nguyen sat beside her, laptop bag at her feet, a beer already in hand. Marcus Reed lounged across from them, his Chateau days traded for a bartending gig in La Jolla. Jenna, Michael's ex-assistant turned ally, rounded out the group, her sharp eyes softened by a rare smile. To 2 years, Lisa toasted, raising her beer as Emily slid in. From hell to here, damn proud of you. To us, Emily corrected, clinking her bottle. Couldn't have burned it down without you. Carla grinned, loved every hack. Those bastards never saw it coming. Marcus laughed, Chateau's still buzzing. The Carter curse, they call it. Jenna nodded. Firms blacklisted them. Industry's a graveyard for their names. Emily sipped her beer, the music a bright counterpoint to the warmth in her chest. They swapped stories. Lisa's latest PI gig in Pasadena, Carla's tech startup in Long Beach, Marcus's bar tales, Jenna's new job at a rival firm. The night flowed, laughter drowning out the past, until a shadow crossed Emily's vision. A man at the bar, his profile too familiar, too sharp. She froze, her bottle halfway to her lips. Lisa, she whispered, nudging her. Look, bar, left side. Lisa turned, her PI instincts kicking in. No way, she muttered, squinting. That's Chris? Chris, Michael's old college buddy, a sleazy fixer who had vanished after the trial. Emily's gut twisted. He'd brokered the Nevada LLC for John, a loose end she'd assumed was buried. Now he stood there, sipping a whiskey, his eyes scanning the room, until they locked on hers. "Stay cool," Carla said, her hand slipping to her phone. "I'll run him, real time." Emily nodded, forcing a smile as the piano pounded. Chris approached, his smirk oily, his suit cheap but pressed. "Emily Carter," he drawled, leaning on their table. "Heard you've been painting the town, literally." "Chris," she said, her voice ice. "What brings you to San Diego?" "Business," he said, sipping his drink. "Heard you're doing well, gallery and all. Michael's not thrilled, sends his regards from Folsom." Her team tensed, Lisa's hand on her bag, Carla's fingers flying over her phone, Marcus cracking his knuckles, Jenna glaring. "He's got bigger problems," Emily said. "Like 15 years. Chris chuckled. "Maybe, but he's got friends, loose ends, you know. Thought I'd check in." "Check out," Lisa snapped, standing. "You're not welcome." He raised his hands, backing off. "Easy, ladies, just saying hi." He slipped into the crowd, leaving a chill in his wake. Carla's screen pinged. "He's active. Vegas IP, new LLC. Carter Ventures, 10K seed. Michael's name's buried in the filings." Emily's jaw tightened. "He's in prison. How?" "Proxies," Carla said. "Chris is fronting. Small potatoes, but it's a move." Back at the loft, Emily paced, the unease now afire. Michael, even caged, was clawing back, testing her. She called David at midnight, his voice groggy but sharp. "Chris showed up, new LLC, Michael's shadow," she said. "Can we stop it?" "From prison?" David said. "Unusual, but not impossible. Shell games. Send me Carla's data. I'll file an injunction, tie it to his restitution." She hung up, texting Carla. "Send David everything. Shut it down." Carla replied, "On it, draining the 10K now. Shelters again?" "Yes," Emily said, "every cent." By morning, Carter Ventures was dry 10K funneled to San Diego shelters, Chris's LLC frozen by David's motion. Emily drove to Balboa Park, sketching in the rose garden as the sun climbed. The unease lingered, Michael's reach, even diminished, gnawed at her peace. She called Lisa. "Chris is trouble," she said. "Track him? Vegas base?" "On it," Lisa said. "Tailing starts today, Pasadena to Nevada." Friday, Emily returned to her canvas, the Stormwoman's wings sharper now, edged with defiance. Lisa texted, "Chris in Vegas, cheap motel off the strip, meeting a guy, ex-con, Michael's cellmate. Pics incoming." The photos showed Chris with a wiry man, tattoos snaking up his arms, passing an envelope. Emily forwarded them to David. "More proxies, stop it." David replied, "Filing, violation of restitution, DA's looping in." Saturday, Carla hacked Chris's phone, texts to the ex-con. "Mike says push harder, her art's the key." Emily frowned, her gallery show looming next month. "He's targeting my work," she muttered, texting Carla. "Dig deeper, gallery angle." Sunday, Marcus visited, his La Jolla tan glowing. "Heard whispers, Vegas crew sniffing around art circles. Watch your back." Emily nodded, the fire flaring. Michael couldn't touch her freedom, so he'd aim for her soul, her art. She called Jenna. "Firm ties to Vegas, any chatter?" "Old clients," Jenna said. "Shady ones, might link to Chris. I'll poke around." Monday, Emily met her gallery owner, Mia, at a cafe near Old Town San Diego. "Next show, Stormborn, set for August," Mia said, sipping tea. "Big buzz, offers already." "Security," Emily said. "Tight-knit, someone sniffing." Mia frowned, but nodded. "Done, cameras, guards." Lisa called that night. "Chris met another guy, Vegas PI, they're digging your past, gallery's the target." Emily's grip tightened. "Shut it down," she said. "Hard." Carla struck Tuesday. Chris's Vegas account strained, 5K to shelters. PI's phone hacked, calls leaked to blogs. Vegas fixer targets SD artist. David filed, restitution violation, harassment. The DA reopened Michael's case, parole pushed back 2 years. Wednesday, Emily painted, Stormwoman's wings now blazing, a shield against shadows. Lisa texted, Chris bolted, Vegas PI's out, Michael's quiet, jail's cracking him. August 15th, Stormborn opened at the Gallery, a packed house under San Diego's starlit sky. Emily stood by her centerpiece. Wings of wrath, reds and golds swirling, a woman unbroken. Buyers bid high, $50,000 sold, half to shelters. No Chris, no shadows, just triumph. Mia toasted her. You're unstoppable. Emily smiled, her team in the crowd. Lisa, Carla, Marcus, Jenna, raising glasses. To wings, she said, clinking hers. Later, she walked the Gaslamp Quarter alone, the night air cool. A letter arrived from David. Michael's proxies collapsed, restitution doubled, parole dead. John was silent, a ghost in his cell. Emily burned it on her balcony, the ashes scattering over the Pacific. September, she bought a cottage near La Jolla Cove, the ocean, her muse. She painted a new series, Horizon's Edge, calm blues, fierce yellows. A local school hired her, art therapy for kids, a quiet joy. 1 year later, June 15th, 2027, Emily stood on her porch, the tide crashing below. No shadows lingered, Michael's reach severed, her life hers. She texted her team, 3 years, dinner at my place, bring stories. Replies flooded, hell yes! To the Queen! She raised a coffee to the dawn, the horizon endless. The City of Angels had scarred her, but San Diego had healed her. Stronger, brighter, free.